Ready? You ready? You guys ready? I'll call to order this December 10th meeting of the Marshall County Board of Zoning Appeals. First step is the roll call of the members.
Mr. Bennett.
Here.
Mr. Hostetler.
Here.
Mr. Kephart.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Gustafson.
Here. The next item is in store is the October 8th minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve with the one correction we spoke of earlier. I was in attendance that night.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second? Jim?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. The minutes are
I'm
approved.
abstaining.
You're abstaining?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, first case, 24, BZA 46, Robert and Pamela Wisman. Are you here? Come on up. You'll sit in those two seats. State your name and address for the record, please. You want to come too?
Yeah.
You want to grab her a chair over there? One of these, off this other one? And you can all sit down there.
Robert and Pamela Wisman, 19298 2C Road, Walkerton, Indiana.
Okay, and you, ma'am?
Pamela Wisman, same address.
Same address?
Zane Wisman, same address.
Okay. Ty?
All right, the applicant is seeking to increase the density per residential unit on their lot. You can kind of see we've generally drawn it out here, and they've also shown how they'd like to subdivide that property with a rough drawing here. Getting into some pictures from the property, you've got the county road that turns into the driveway, and then looking around the property for context. So the procedure for this is the Board of Zoning Appeals reviews and makes the final decision on this case based upon the findings of fact as defined in state statute. For the analysis, the applicant owns 8 acres and is seeking to subdivide the property into 2 4-acre properties. The ordinance allows for 1 residential unit per 5 acres of property. Properties can be subdivided down to 1 acre per parcel, but the parent density is required to meet the 1 to 5 acre ratio. For the findings, the public health, safety, and welfare, use and value, and strict application are all taken into consideration. For finding number 1, the approval of such project should not be injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare. For finding number 2, the use and value of adjacent properties should not be substantially affected in an adverse manner. And for finding number 3, the strict application of the ordinance would not permit the proposal. It is entirely self-imposed. There are no known unique features to support the proposal. So for recommendation, based on the information provided and reviewed by the Technical Review Committee staff and TRC, would recommend denial of the proposed variance and is now up for board determination.
Anything you'd like to add? Tell us what you're doing, what's your...
Basically, just gonna split the 8 acres so he can build a house. That is my son then, just be a 3-bedroom home, 1,800, 2,000 square foot. Nothing overwhelming or anything like that, just a smaller residence.
So, is he going to meet the setbacks from side and front yard?
Yeah, he'll have to.
Everything's all...
This is just purely a density discussion.
You said the TRC, can you go back to TRC?
You recommend not?
Recommend denial. They say
Yeah.
why, by chance?
The density aspect of it, it didn't have a unique feature. Like one of our previous ones had a ditch running through the middle of it where it created a logical bisection of the 2 pieces. Similar to that same night was a similar instance to this where we also recommended denial on that one as well.
But it was approved. And it was only,
It was approved by the BZA.
only 5 acres, and it was split to 2.5?
But I don't remember the exact densities off
It
the
was
top of my head.
smaller than this.
Yeah, it was only 5, this is 8, so these are both 4?
They're proposed to be both 4s.
Okay.
And there's going to be an easement or something also?
Are you looking to do an easement, or would he own the driveway to get back to his
He would
property?
own the driveway.
So it'd be a flag-shaped parcel.
I talked to somebody earlier about giving him a 50-foot right-of-way to get in there or an easement, whatever.
So this little drawing may not be exactly accurate how you're going to end up.
It's to give you a rough idea of what it would look like.
All right, I understand.
And the road going back there is a county road. Where does it end?
At my driveway.
Is that where the property begins? or-
My driveway begins about halfway through there. So,
About halfway through?
The
Oh,
red
I
lines
see.
on there,
Yeah.
if you look at the
so
map.
when you're coming down the county road, the eastern edge of my property is where we put the driveway to go back.
Oh, it's
So
not
it would
right
be in
here.
front of the existing home.
Okay.
Okay.
I've been back there, I know Rob, so. Anybody else got any questions?
No, motion open public hearing?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made second to open public hearing. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. The public hearing is now open. Anybody here to speak in favor of his request? Anybody here to speak against? Any correspondence, Ty?
No correspondence, sir.
That's $5, sir.
I thought I shut it off, I'm sorry.
Do I have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Motion made second, close public hearing. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Public hearing is now closed. So we want to make it clear that he has an easement to get to that county road?
So in order to subdivide that property, he would either have to provide an easement or his son would have to own that 50-foot section coming back. So it would look like two rectangles with an easement which you can't see in terms of the property lines. Or he would have a flag-shaped parcel where that flagpole section is the access to it, which is the recommended version to that, just because even though you may be on agreement terms today in terms of that easement and not have any issues with it, but if you sell and you don't get along with whoever picks up dad's property, it creates a lot of complications with it, and so that's where
Landlocked.
we always recommend. It wouldn't be landlocked. It gets messier over time because the front and the rear parcels may not always see eye to eye within that easement space, but if you own it, it's yours.
So what I'm getting at is whoever makes the motion, if they make a motion to approve, can it be put in there that gets taken care of? Or you will just do that? Does it need to be in the motion?
He has to have 50-foot access or he won't get it, even if you have the density
So it does not
approval.
need to be in the motion?
It does not.
Okay. Anybody got any questions? I've been back there. There's nothing back. How far is it off the road? Half mile?
It's
Quarter mile.
It's a little over, about 3/10 of a mile off the road, so.
Okay. There is nothing anywhere around it. So. You familiar with it? It's Bob Ruff's old place.
Yep, I know where it is.
Okay.
I make the motion, we go ahead and approve this. I don't have a problem with this.
Okay, no second?
I'll second it.
Motion made, seconded. Lori, to approve?
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Hostetler?
Yes.
Mr. Kephart?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Gustafson?
Yes, you're all set.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Second case, 24 BZA 47, Eddie Ray Burkholder. Eddie Ray?
What about Troy, or is that next?
No Burkholder's next.
Matt Troyer, 1611 Third Road, Bremen.
Okay, so
That's what he
does
is.
he
That's
have
his
to
name,
have
but it's a
anything
Burkholder
since he's
property.
representing Eddie? Ray?
You want to explain your reference to your association to the property?
Okay, so I just, I'm buying that property on land contract. I had my business over next door in my dad's shop. Now I bought this place recently. Eddie had bought it originally, and then I bought it from him now on land contract, and I moved my business over there. So that's the reason I'm here tonight. I have a woodworking business, furniture, just don't have any employees, just myself. Yeah, that's the reason I'm here, just want to get everything.
So he's a
Okay.
purchaser on land contract in association with that project. It's just currently under deeded name of Burkholder.
Okay.
Are you buying the existing, is it the existing business being bought too?
No,
or
I had the
moving?
business already. I just bought the property. But I had the business was existing in my dad's shop next door to the left.
Let's let Ty do his presentation, then we'll ask the questions. Go ahead, Ty.
So a request for a special use by Matt Troyer for Furniture Woodworking Shop is a home-based business located at 1611 Third Road, Bremen, Indiana, German Township, zoned A1. On 7/14/2020, Matt Troyer was approved for a custom furniture woodworking business on the property to the west, 1657 Third Road, Bremen. The proposal is to move the business from 1657 Third Road to 1611 Third Road, from one adjacent property to another. As you can see, here's the subject property highlighted in light blue, and the shop and subject property are the ones to the west. We went to the property, took some associated pictures. So for this procedure, the Board of Zoning Appeals reviews and makes the final decision on this case based upon the findings of fact as defined in state statute. For the analysis, the applicant had received approval for the same project back in 2020 under case 20-BZA-26, which was granted approval 5-0 on the property to the west with 3 conditions: 2 employees, hours of operation are 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday, and signage to meet local ordinance requirements. They'd like to now get the approval to put the business on the subject property. For finding number 1, the approval should not be injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare. For finding number 2, the requirements for a home-based business shall be met. For finding number 3, the home-based businesses are supported within the county when they make sense within their given context. For finding number 4, the comprehensive plan supports small businesses in the agricultural area provided that they fit into their given context. And then additional considerations, including other considerations. The subject property slopes to the south to a county ditch. The zoning of the subject and surrounding properties is A1 agricultural. Driveways is no new driveways. Existing parking should be sufficient based on previous approval. Landscaping, none shown. Open space is not applicable. Noise, hours of operation should be clarified to ensure that it is identical to previous approval. Other considerations were none at that time. Lighting, no new lighting has been indicated. Traffic generation should be clarified during the hearing itself. And general site layout as it relates to its surroundings, no new buildings have been proposed because it is proposed to be within the existing structure. So for recommendation based on the information provided and reviewed by the Technical Review Committee, staff and TRC would recommend approval of the proposal with the BZA reviewing the business plan for adjacent impacts and setting reasonable hours of operation. Now it is up for board determination.
Anything you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so.
You want to tell us what you think your business hours are going to be?
Probably 6 to 3, is pretty standard, yeah.
Is your business right next door to it right now?
No, it's not. It's actually, I moved it over there.
So you're in there now?
Yeah, I am,
Okay.
yeah.
Was it next to?
It was next door, yeah.
To the left?
Yeah, it would have been to the left there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
The hours before were 5 to 5?
Yeah, I'm not even sure why they were 5 to 5, but yeah, let's say 5 to 3 o'clock, yeah, just to be safe.
Might recommend that you leave it 5 to 5, because what if your business grows to a point to where now you're
I would leave
invited?
it 5 to 5, yeah.
Okay. It's 5 to 5 now, it was approved then.
Might as well,
Pretty
yeah,
sure
if it's
that
approved like that. we
Kind of,
leave it.
I want to tell you what to do here,
Yeah, no,
but
that's good, yeah, might as well.
Okay. Any other questions?
What about traffic?
There's minimal traffic. I got maybe a couple semis a week, but like,
Bringing in raw goods or?
yeah.
and it's the same as what you had next door.
Yeah, it's same, pretty well same, yeah.
But you'll unload them off the road, you're not unloading on the road, correct?
Yeah, they'll come off the road back to the driveway. I unload them back there by the shop.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no on-road unloading, yeah.
Could you go back the pictures of the property, right there, back up. Okay, so that's where, there's a raw goods stored there, or?
That's actually live edge lumber that Eddie cuts. He's got a
Oh,
sawmill
okay, so
down
that's
there.
not your stuff necessarily?
No, that, actually, he uses quite a bit of the shop for storage. Eddie
Okay.
does, yeah, so.
Okay,
I use that live edge stuff to build furniture then, but that's
Okay.
basically an air drying area there where the green lumber air dries.
Silver
It's
color on
organized.
the top of it, too.
Hey,
Very good.
sore subject.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I
I
have a
move
motion?
we open public hearing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to open public hearing. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Public hearing is now open. Anybody here to speak in favor of his request? Anybody here to speak against? Any correspondence?
No, sir.
That motion to close.
I move we close the public hearing.
A second?
I'll second.
Motion made second to close the public hearing. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Public hearing is now closed.
I make a
make a mo-
motion, no,
Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve 24 BZA 47.
With the same rules that he had as on the other one?
Yes.
With the hours?
Yep.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Lori?
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Hostetler?
Yes.
Mr. Kephart?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Gustafson?
Yep, you're all set. Thank you. Boy, this is easy. This is just great.
We like these.
I have a feeling it's not
All right.
good.
24 BZA 48, Michael Hostetler. You would have a seat. State your name and address for the record, please.
Michael Hosteller, 2484 2B Road, Bremen.
Okay, Ty?
All right, the applicant is seeking to expand their previously approved dog kennel 2484 2B Road, Bremen. As you see, here's the subject property highlighted in light blue on the right-hand side. And here's some pictures from the property after a site visit. The procedure for this is the Board of Zoning Appeals reviews and makes the final decision on this case based upon the findings of fact as defined in state statute. For the analysis, the applicant was approved for a dog kennel under case 23 BZA 08, which was approved 4-1 with the following conditions following stipulation. Number 1, 9 dogs, 2 USDA and BOA certified. Number 3, once the new facility is up and running, the board would welcome you back for more dogs. At that time, canine care certification would be required. The applicant is now seeking to expand their amount of dogs to 20 females. They are registered and inspected by BOA, licensed and inspected by USDA, and are a member of ICAL.
When did we approve that one? Do you remember?
August.
In terms of month,
Was it,
in 2023,
well, okay.
08, so you'd be looking in probably first quarter of 23. For finding number 1, the approval should not be injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare. For finding number 2, the development standards shall be met. For finding number 3, the applicant is seeking to meet the intent of the ordinance. For finding number 4, the comprehensive plan supports small businesses provided they fit into their context. For other considerations, the property is relatively flat. For zoning, the subject property is surrounded by properties are zoned agricultural and is abutting the Bremen zoning boundary. For driveway, there's no new driveways. Parking, existing parking should be sufficient within the existing property layout. Landscaping, there's nothing shown. Open space is not applicable. For noise production may double within the doubling of the dogs. Other considerations, none at this time. Lighting, no new lighting has been indicated. Traffic generation should increase slightly. And the general site layout as it relates to its surroundings, no site improvements are proposed. So for recommendation of the information provided and reviewed by Technical Review Committee staff and TRC, recommend approval of the proposal and is now up for board determination.
Anything you'd like to add?
I think he covered it pretty well.
Because you had the dogs on a raised deck the first
Yeah,
time when you
and
came
I
in.
wanted to improve my facility, so.
And now the improvement is done. I remember us talking to you. It was a big deal. We were concerned whether we should approve or not, because you wanted more dogs the first time, didn't you?
24, wasn't
I
it?
believe I requested for 20 or so.
Yeah. And we
Then
didn't
you
approve
wanted
that,
me
yeah.
to approve or to keep what I have and then improve my facility, then we'll talk about more. One thing I would like to add, canine care certified, if that's in as a requirement, what happens if, let's say, I don't know, canine care certified hasn't been around that long? What if that goes to nothing? And in I don't want my license to be dependent on having that certification.
Can you go back to that? Once the new facility's up and running, the board would welcome you back for more dogs. At that time, canine care certificate would be required. Do you know that?
That's what I'm asking about.
You just now found that out, or what?
No, canine care certified is a
I don't know what it is.
Okay, so it's a program developed by Purdue University, where they, I haven't looked at their paperwork in a while. So it's I'm USDA licensed, right?
Okay.
So it's stricter than USDA license. It's a voluntary program that they want all members to be members, voluntary, so you are not forced to, it's a high standards of breeding dogs.
That's part of what happens with the adult dogs when you no longer use them, right? You
I
can't.
already do all that stuff. They require you to rehome them and not put them down. Well, I don't do that anyway. I rehome my dogs anyway.
I don't know why we required that. Anybody
I think
remember?
we were just concerned because his facility wasn't set up the way we felt it needed to be set up. And we were trying to put conditions on to make sure we were comfortable when he came in the next time.
Wasn't the lady from the animal shelter here too? I forgot her name.
You didn't have Nancy Cox here last time, right? Or did you? Did you talk to her before you come in last time?
So I had 2 hearings last time. We tabled the first one.
Yeah.
And then I spoke with her some more. She was here at both meetings.
She was what?
She was here at both meetings,
For you?
yes.
Okay.
And she's aware of this as far as you know?
I think she's here tonight.
Oh.
Yeah, I spoke with her.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, there she is. Okay.
I spoke with her earlier last week.
We should do
It was
public
last
hearing, shouldn't
Friday
we?
she was out.
We will.
So what's your concern is that canine care certification may not be in existence at some
Well,
point?
it's not been around that long. It's not a government program. So, okay, there's several, it requires a lot of paperwork. Okay, what about in the future? Let's say I decide to downsize and not have my kennel running at full operation. Well, I still need the certification and I'm only doing, if I run less dogs.
When she comes up here, we'll ask her
Sure. I believe she said that she likes what it's set up, so I would propose to go on as I'm doing currently.
and 20 is the end. No more.
He asked for 20, 25, so.
I think I have 25. I planned to have 20, around 20 females. But like I said on there, I don't want to be limited to exactly 20. If I have some young puppies that'll keep back or something, that I can have a little bit of room to play with.
I didn't hear what you said.
Can your facility hold those?
The applicant is now seeking to expand their amount
How
of
many they
dogs to
can hold?
20 females.
I have 16
Well-
large pens that can hold 2 dogs apiece.
In the email packet we had, it said, I thought you said it was requesting for 25.
The applicant requested 20 dogs, as you can see on the written application. And then he had further clarification within his business plan to go to 25.
Okay.
But what was within the application is 20, and so that's what is
Gotcha.
being proposed and advertised, so he cannot increase without going through this entire process of advertising.
And what kind of dogs are they?
I have golden retrievers and some Bernese Mountain Dogs.
Okay. And you've been selling them all along and,
I have no problem getting rid of my puppies.
okay. Anybody else got any questions before we open the public hearing?
Motion to open public hearing?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, seconded to open public hearing. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Public hearing is now open. Anybody here speak in favor of his request? Come on up. If you would sit in that chair over there, state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Christopher Kowalski, 4230 Third Road, Bremen.
That
This
chair,
one over
please.
here.
Yeah. You get his address and name? Okay. Go ahead, sir.
We've known Michael for a long time. We've lived in Bremen for quite a while, and we have 3 of his dogs. I've personally helped him with the rehoming process, and so that's a big part of why Michael and I have really become friends over this breeding situation. His dogs are wonderful. He takes great care of the animals, and my wife and I are very passionate about our dogs. And if there was anything less than wonderful about his process that he goes through, we would have a serious problem with it and wouldn't have bought 3 dogs from him. And so, Michael's takes amazing care in certifying his dogs through AKC and through medical examinations to make sure that they're dogs that are breed worthy. And so, reputations from the past that, we have in Indiana with multiple dog breeds being, bred under terrible circumstances, that's something that we have to live with, hopefully it's in our past. Michael is not one of those people.
Okay. So you say you help with the rehoming.
Yes.
Where do they go?
Because Michael is of the Amish faith, I have the ability to advertise the dogs on a YouTube channel that I have and also through Facebook Marketplace. And so, those opportunities have been successful so far. We haven't had any issues with dogs not finding a new forever home for themselves. And, and to that point, part of the breeding process is the personality of the dogs. So, if the dogs were behaving erratically or were not really forever home worthy, you'd have to take another route. He's so careful in the dogs that he purchases that, he's never had a problem with them. Not to say, something won't happen in the future, but I mean, there's no way to predict 100% what's going to happen, but Michael is an extremely careful breeder.
So when you rehome them, do you spay and neuter them?
That's part of the requirement for the people that purchase them, or in this case, they get them for free. So when they're turned out, it's strictly an adoption process, and yes, they have been spayed and neutered.
Okay. He takes care of them? I mean, the people don't get the dog until they're spayed or neutered then, correct?
No, they take care of the spay or neutering, and we follow up with them on that. So, and I mean, I've got, some people that I could get you their names and phone numbers and addresses if you wanted, but, it's not really been an issue. The one that we rehomed was already spayed, or neutered, actually, so.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Anybody have any questions for him? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else here to speak in favor? Anybody here to speak against? Come on up. You would have a seat, state your name and address for the record, please.
Nancy Cox, 11165 13th Road, Plymouth.
Okay.
Okay, I am here, and I did meet with Michael. I went out for a visit, and so part of me, I'm not totally against his kennel. He's got a beautiful kennel. His dog's very well cared for and very nice temperament. Working at the Humane Society, and I haven't gotten any of his pups. We don't normally get, our shelter is full up. Like I could tell you, I could preach it to you all the time if you follow our Facebook, if you follow our website. Yes, I do believe that he probably finds good home, forever homes because they are nice pups. I saw pups and I saw his facility is brand new. It's beautiful now. I counted 18 kennels.
I think there's 16.
Or 16 kennels. That's not counted 2 puppies, right? Well, anyway, but I don't think he needs that many dogs. He told me 30, but I did read tonight it says 20. But it says females, which means he could probably have 10 males and I doubt he'd have that because most breeders are more worried about the females with the pups. But I think we should put a limit on it so that it's manageable, so he can care for them in the way that he is caring for them. I'm not told, I can't say he was not taken care of and they weren't nice dogs, because they really were. The place is beautiful. It's got heated floors. It's all solar heated. It's really nice. I was really jealous. I wish our shelter could be like that. I've wanted a new shelter for 37 years. But it's just the amount of dogs. And I don't want, and his are microchipped. They're not microchipped where they can be traced, though. A lot of breeders microchip their dogs. I wish that they were. Then we would know if we ever got any of his pups in, but as far as I know, we haven't. But I just think that the numbers are important, to keep the numbers not so out there that he becomes more than he can handle and more than he can care for.
Okay,
So that's how I feel.
definitely appreciate your
All right,
input.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Anybody else to speak against? Any correspondence?
No, sir.
Motion to close?
So moved.
A second? You seconded, Jim?
Yes.
Motion made second, to close public hearing. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried, public hearing is now closed. So, 20? Can you go 20? Stop at 20 females?
That's what he's asked for, I think.
That's what
That's
he
what he's
asked
asked for.
Okay.
for. His business plan said 25, but it was advertised for 20, he said.
And we can't approve
the
any
actual-
more
The
than-
application says 20.
Okay.
And Ty said we can't approve any more than 20.
How many males are you gonna have?
I imagine 3 or 4 males.
Okay. That need to be put in the,
You can put that in your motion if you wish to.
I can't make the motion, but. My feeling on these, I've stopped and looked at the one on Beach Road, or not on Beach Road, but on Plymouth Goshen Trail, and I caught the guy completely off guard. And the place is immaculate, you know? These places are better than most people's homes that raise dogs, and I'm not kidding. You know, the floor is heated, the place is
His
immaculate.
pictures look like that too. Holy cow.
You should see some of these. You know, I understand that we don't want more dogs, but if you are going to raise dogs and you have it in a controlled atmosphere like this, I mean, it's better than a person having 2 dogs at home. So I'm pretty much in favor of it, so.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Go ahead.
So I make a motion to approve this request with the 20 females. Yeah, I mean, your facility looks good. You obviously socialize the dogs, which is very important. I think you're doing a good job. I'm willing to make that motion.
I will second that.
Motion made and second to approve. Lori?
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Hostetler?
Yes.
Mr. Cathcart?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Gustafson?
Yes. You're all set.
Thank you.
Okay, next case, 24 BZA 49, Caleb Koppel. Come on up, Caleb. Caleb. You would have a seat, state your name and address for the record, please.
Caleb Koppel, 3560 Grape Road, Bremen.
Okay, Ty?
All right, we have a request for a variance to development standard to allow a reduction in residential setback from the required 1,320 feet to 493 feet for a confined animal feeding operation located at 3560 Grape Road, Bremen, Indiana, zoned A1. Here on the right-hand side, you can see the proposed setbacks associated with the closest one to the south, 493 feet from the 2 proposed buildings, P1 and 2. With P2 being that distance, and you have a P3 building for a manure stack. You have the existing buildings, E1, E2, and E3 to the north on the opposite side of the drainage basin. As you can see here in the satellite imagery, it would be essentially a duplication of what's existing on the north end of the property. And then you can see here is the full-scale site map in relationship to the setback distances that already exist for the northern 2 properties, and then you can see how we're getting closer here to the property to the south. Again, here's existing drainage infrastructure in association with the local setbacks for floodplains. And then we went out to the property and took pictures. Here's us looking around and finding additional context. The 2 existing barns and drainage basin.
So you live in the house that's right there by the chicken barns?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the procedure for this is the Board of Zoning Appeals reviews and makes the final decision on this case based upon the findings of fact as defined in state statute. For the analysis, the applicant was approved for a CFO in 2021 under case 21 BZA 05 on a vote of 3-1 to reduce the setback from 1,320 feet. The applicant is seeking to expand their animal production operation from 2 barns to 4 barns, which would then classify them as a KFO CAFO. The proposal is to reduce the setback to 493 feet. For the findings of public health, safety, and welfare, use and value, and strict application are taken into consideration. For finding number 1, the approval of the proposal should not be injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare. For finding number 2, the use and value of adjacent property may be impacted by the proposal but was previously reduced in 2021. Finding number 3, the strict application of the ordinance would not permit the proposal. So for a recommendation based on the information provided and reviewed by the Technical Review Committee, staff and TRC would recommend approval of the proposal pending input from the neighbors. Now it is up for board determination.
Anything you'd like to add?
That we're just, like I said, we're expanding existing operation to the south, keep everything that we can farthest to the northeast corner. The county erosion plan that we in place the first time, the pond was at 450% bigger capacity than needed due to the barn floors are clay, not concrete, so that's where the clay came from. Also, by adding the 2 barns to the erosion plan, the pond is still 203% bigger than capacity needed, which means there's no outlet, so that does not contribute to any watershed or to the ditch for the runover or the floodplains. Everything is self-contained. In the barns, manure-wise, nothing is outside. Everything is inside. It's all dry manure. Everything is composted in the buildings. And then the little building that you see that's proposed out front, in front of the driveway, that is the litter stack barn, which that is also 40-foot wide by 60 long with concrete floors and 6-foot concrete walls and with the pavilion style roof at the top, so it's not getting on any weathered. All barns have fans on them. 2/3 of the fans face the east, which is predominantly where no man's land behind me. The first residence behind me is the first one on of a Fur Road over 2 miles, almost 2 miles away. There are a few fans, small circulation fans that do face the north or the south off of each side, just that way the barns aren't sucking in each other's ventilation. That's why there's awful 80-foot set between the two, so that way there's none of that conflicting. All of our paperwork and everything, we are state mandated. Excuse me. And Melissa Lehman's office, Agronomist Solutions, out of Topeka's, who handles all that, which we've already been correspondent with IDEM and with her office to presenting all this to her before coming here. So there's already been preparation to make sure everything flows and passes on their level as well. To where also Miller's Poultry is also involved in the GAP program, so birds are treated and handled with care to where they pass the GAP program, which also has enrichments, or as I call them, toys in the buildings. It's free range. There's no cages whatsoever. They can run from one end of the barn. The only thing that's implemented in there of any type of anything is a fence, migration fence at every 150 foot, just that way if anything ever happens, bearing goes out in a fan or something, birds are known to just run in flocks, that way they don't dogpile and kill each other. It's a health issue for the birds. So that's implemented as well. Also with GAP rodent control, there's bait stations at the perimeter of all buildings every 100 foot surrounding all the way, which also is implemented that I have to document by Miller's Poultry when and how I fill them by date and time as well, which also we check them every flock. We have usually between 6 to 7 flocks a year, 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Like I said, the manure is windrowed inside the buildings for composting and then scattered back out in the buildings for recycled bedding. There's, I can tell you all the stages, there's so many things that we do that's already implemented. And also by adding these 2 barns, we would be going from a CFO to a CAFO, which means would be over 125,000 birds. So, and also the printout I gave to Ty, we are already implementing what I would have to do if this is approved to be a CAFO. One of the biggest thing, I guess, for surrounding neighbors and stuff is smell. Sorry.
You're fine. Don't.
Just
Breathe. It's all right. It's all right.
It's a big step for a family.
It's all right, man. Just take a break.
In the state right up to with IDEM and everything. Also we understand that this will be implemented as after approval of today. So none of this has been put in place yet. It will be if it is approved. There's a list of 20 things that I have to select one that helps improve smell or anything like that. We already implement 4. Sorry. With
we got time. Just calm down. It's okay. I like to see the passion of a young farmer that's wanting to do this stuff.
Well, thank you. I just know they're big and a lot of people usually tend to throw stones at shine. So it's just, I want to give all the information I can to let us know what we're doing.
Have you talked to the people to the south?
I had a conversation. I know he's here and he's going to be against it, yes. But also by reading the setbacks, it is for a residential setback. That is a farm structure and a grain setup. It is not a residing residence.
That's not a pole barn house?
It does have, he's, in the meeting of, the last BZA meeting, he stated that that is his farm office and grain facility.
Okay.
So I do have a paper I submitted today that the 2 neighbors to the north, just because of the way Ty explained it to me, it's a footprint that we're going off of. So the first 2 barns are kind of involved. That the 2 neighbors to the north have signed a paper that Miller Poultry provided that states that they have no objections or concerns or issue with this plan. And the 2 houses to the north are dwelling residents. They both live there.
Because I think, was the South homeowners here last time or just sent a paper and approving?
He was here last time. His concern on the last board was about the drainage of the water erosion plan due to his field being behind me to the east between the Yellow River and it predominantly a floodplain. So he was just mostly concerned of drainage and floodplain issue.
Okay.
Which all, like I said, was unstated and on the minutes of the last meeting.
Okay.
But thank you for taking the time. Just give me a minute. But the 4 things we implement, we windrow and compost inside the buildings. So the manure is composted. So that's 1. Number 2, all manure is dry and it is and stays inside at all time. Number 3, we have to have some type of litter storage, which has, or to implement a litter storage facility, which we already have that, and it's already concrete walled and covered to where it can't be weathered. And the 4th one that was not even on the list, right before the flocks, every flock, a PT pelletized gel solution is spread on the litter, which then is melted when the heaters are turned on, which is melted down into the litter to help kill any other bacteria that didn't get killed in the composting heat cycle of the windrowing in the barns, plus also to help release or relieve any ammonia that is locked in that manure in the barn as well. So there's 4 things we implement and we only need to choose 1. and it's already implemented. And also, when we do spread chicken litter on our farms, I incorporate it within 24 hours anyway, and that is also a thing that will have to be implemented by, just to be a CAFO. But we already implement that or have that in there. We incorporate it within 24 hours of spreading. Everything, like I said, everything's state mandated. We have to turn in soil maps, soil test, litter analysis, everything to, like I said, Agronomist Solutions. She's the one that handles that for me and submits all that to IDEM into the state offices. And the state office it has to be within 4 years of soil sampling to make sure that we're not putting any soils out of whack just because of the fertilizer analysis of the litter. We have to have a minimum 125 acres signed up per set of barns, which we have over 320 already, and we don't have the 2 now. So we have plenty of acres. Plus, also the litter, in my eyes, is the closest and most organic source of fertilizer you're going to get, and going to help reduce the carbon footprint and everything by buying commercial fertilizer from, any runoff leaching or, the dead zone like they complain about it in the Gulf of Mexico, where it's dry litter, it's dry manure spread and incorporated within 24 hours of spreading. The one map it shows also too, because of it being a CAFO, we have to implement shelter belts on the south side and the north side, where there'd be 2 rows of some type of shrubbery or trees to just kind of help stop any smell or anything from transferring outward of the barn. So there'd be a row implemented about 50 feet to the south of the 2 projected and to the north of the 2 that are existing.
That's the 2 long skinny lines on this plan.
Yes, yes. Also, this Melissa Lehman's office, Agronomist Solutions, has done plenty of studies on these barns as well. That their studies show that between 350 to 400 feet away, that is enough atmosphere space to where you do not smell the smell, that because the barns are designed to lift, to blow it out and lift, because the barns are heated, which everybody knows heat rises, especially if you own a farmhouse. So that in the barns, the minimum temperature in those barns is 68 degrees. But for the first 2 weeks, they're actually 88 to 90 degrees for the chicks. So the heat that is coming from the fans is heated, and also heat, just heat rises, and that study is in there as well too, from Melissa's office. So anything that's 400 feet or farther away should not have any issues. I guess that me walking out my back door every day, I hardly ever smell my own chickens. I'm not here to lie about anything either, that obviously you do have some smell on your 10 to 15 days in the spring and 10 to 15 days in the fall when the weather's changing and you get your heavy, foggy, dewy mornings. Like I said, the barns are designed for the air to lift. So, usually when that fog burns off about 10 o'clock, it's no longer smelled or around, just because air's damp and heavy and it travels outward instead of up. Also too, you see the space there between the property line and that shelter belt, with all the livestock that we have between chickens and cattle as well. I usually predominantly plant corn, so every year it will be corn as well. So I guess you could technically kind of add that as a shelter belt, but it will be removed obviously at harvest time, just because we use majority of our feed, or corn for feed, for the livestock operations that we run. I guess we'll leave it at that, and if you have any more questions.
I actually drove past here today. You have cattle on the north side of the existing, would the shelter belt go between where you have, is there room between where the cattle were and the building for that
Yes.
shelter? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't
There's
look that close.
there's no setback footage of where the shelter belt needs to be.
So-
But predominantly, usually around the buildings, it's planted grass anyway, about 40 to 50 feet. So that way, it's cuts down on rodent control too, especially if it's, mowed and manicured. So they'll probably, it's 50 feet from the fence line, so they'll be implemented right pretty much against the fence line.
Okay.
So yes, there's.
Have you had the state chemist come out for any violations or anything?
No, I am, any level, county, state, IDEM, or in Miller Poultry's, I have not had any complaints or write-ups or even been checked on, honestly. So I guess bringing that up, IDEM, when populated, when the first barns were put up, IDEM was out to inspect the buildings, make sure they were built correctly, plus built up correctly because of watershed and all that stuff, and the manure. So they were out a couple times when the first barns were built to check on that. Plus, they're out 6 months after populated, which I believe it'll probably be the same for these two barns that we're implementing, that they come out 6 months after just to make sure to do a walk around to make sure that the grass is implemented and planted, so there's no watershed, that the correct water erosion plan is in place, and that everything that we are documenting that we are going to do is done. And also the water erosion plan, the pond is tested as well whenever they come out for nitrate to make sure that there's no litter or anything, and everything has passed with flying colors as of now, as up to now. And we've been populated now for 3 years with those first two.
We've been getting quite a few chicken farms. We had one just down from my house. And so I go by them. I go by yours. But I've tried to go around on the east side of it, and there's no roads. So Fur Road is the first road east of this place. There's no way to get, there's no houses or nothing in there to the east.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the only house, like I said, the only houses would be along 4th Road to the south of us or on 3rd Road to the north. And then, because Filbert stops at 4th Road and doesn't continue any further north. So that would be your next road, Filbert, but it doesn't go through, so that's all owned.
Because when you come in here with the first one, the town of Bremen, somebody was here from the town of Bremen. And
Correct.
he was pretty upset, was pretty rough with us when we approved it, and I've not heard anything about it, so.
Correct.
So around it, I mean, to the neighbor to the south, would the smell affect him except for them few days in the spring and fall, or? Because when they get here, I'm gonna ask him, so I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, especially during your foggy mornings during the spring and fall, that's just because the air can't lift, you can't smell them. Just because they can't lift, but like I said, once it usually burns off around that 10, 11 o'clock, it's gone. And then also, obviously, spreading the manure during type of application, you're gonna have some smell. But also, like I said, it's incorporated, which I do heavy tilling, so usually I try to chisel it in. Worst case scenario, we disc it in.
Yeah, because the guys that farm my place spread, and they come out one day and brought a bunch of semi-loads in, and they were gonna come and spread it. Well, it rained, they couldn't spread it. Well, they didn't have it 400 feet from the neighboring house. Well, the neighboring house called IDM. IDM switched it to the state chemist's office. I'm sitting in my office at noon, and the state chemist calls me and asking me about the manure. They came out that day, and it was a $250 fine, so they don't monkey around.
No, they don't.
They don't, and we have one now in the county, well, I don't know if it's in our county or St. Joe County. We
And
have,
predominantly, most of the farm ground that is signed up for is in with driving distance that I just load either straight out of the buildings or out of the litter stack barn.
got you.
Straight into the spreader and then drive it to the field.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Oh, sir. Well, I have to just get with the county also for a traffic plan as well, if this is approved today for a traffic route for the feed trucks and stuff as well. And that's also implemented because of it being a CAFO, going to CFO.
Good. Anybody else got any question? Do I have a motion to open public hearing?
Make a motion, to open public hearing?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made second, open public hearing. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried, public hearing is now open. Anybody here to speak in favor of his request? Come on up. You would have a seat over there. State your name and address for the record.
I'm Andy Flickinger,
30210 County Road 40, Wakarusa, on behalf of Miller Poultry. We, approved Caleb of this addition. He's, like he said, he's been with us the last 3 years. He does an outstanding job. Have nothing but good things to say on how he raises birds and takes care of his property. So we support this.
Okay, thanks, sir. Anybody else here to speak in favor? Anybody here in favor? Come on up.
Good
You
evening.
state your name and addresses for the record, please.
Jennifer Koffel.
Matthew Koffel.
We're at 6843 Fourth Road. We received a letter as well, and we're in support.
In support, and we live within a half mile of the barns, and, we love to see the progress, and proud of our son.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Anybody else to speak in favor? Okay, anybody to speak against? Come on up. You would state your name and address for the record, please?
Keith Frayne, 4424 Third Road, Bremen, Indiana. I'm the town manager for Bremen. So I am not the same town manager that came and gave you guys a hard time, and I will not give Caleb a hard time either. Familiar with his operation, he does a fantastic job. There's not much of a harder working farm family that I know of. But the concerns of our town council, we spent the last year and a half putting together a Bremen master plan, and part of that plan is approximately 250 homes being built on Third Road, just around the corner and down Third Road from Caleb's operation. And that's 250 units with another 120 potential multifamily dwellings as well. And we're just concerned what this type of operation what that'll mean to folks that we would like to come in and build homes in this development that at great expense from our RDC that we're putting together. But I'm not saying I'm against it, and he's actually answered a lot of the questions with his statements today about the precautions that he's putting together. And you have to understand that we would love to see all these residential areas being built up. And it is literally within a mile of his facility. He's got 90,000 chickens now and wants to bring in to a total of 180,000 is the way I understand it. And the council just wanted me to come and share the town's concerns with this board of what the impact that may make in the future.
Can you smell it now from where this?
There's days, and just exactly what Caleb said, it's those hot, humid, heavy days through the summer and the fall that you'll get some of that. But I will say, Ty called me before this whole process and asked what our concerns were. I said, Ty, I got to tell you, I haven't had the first telephone call come in with a complaint about that smell. I have smelled it. As Caleb said, he has smelled it, but it's not that horrific smell, and I don't spend time out around the farm. But what he's saying, too, is that the next county road to the east is Fur Road, but between Grape Road and Fur Road is the town of Bremen, and it's mostly residential through that area as well. I need to share those concerns with this board when they make that decision to double this big project. But again, he's doing a fine job, and he's answered a lot of our questions with, he only has to have one, he's already implementing 4. If we could get 5 or 6, that would be great too. And he's right, it is. It's that smell that's associated with it, but it sounds like his operation is above and beyond. But I just need to present the town's.
Is there any other farms in that area where you're going to build, like cattle farm, any type of farms that?
Not really. The RDC bought a 40-acre parcel from a property owner that was, one had passed away and they were retiring, and we've collaborated with the school for another potentially 30 acres, so it'll be about a 70-acre development that we're really excited about, but it is literally just down and around the corner from Caleb's farm.
Is it on the north side of Third Road? the development?
Yes, it is.
But it's currently in the town limits of Bremen, or?
We have not incorporated yet. We purchased it, and it's in the process. It's all part.
It's still in the county, the ground
Yes,
that you're
yes.
proposing, okay. I went to the map to look to see where the county.
It's Jim and Marilyn Brown's property, and then the Bremen High School has the baseball diamond. That property south of there will all be part of the development.
Questions for him? No? Thanks, sir.
Again, if he continues the way he is and even makes extra steps with the answers that he gave us today, that would be fantastic. But we've got a big investment from the town of Bremen.
Yeah, I can't tell when I go by, if I smell 80,000 or 160,000 when I go by, so I don't know.
90 or 180, right?
Whatever.
Thank you.
He said 160, but okay.
Okay, I keep correcting.
An extra chicken does make a
Heads
sound.
are right.
Anybody else to speak against? On up. You'd state your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, hi, I'm Joseph Stoller, 3708 Grape Road, the neighbor directly to the south. I believe it's clear that I'm probably most affected by this of anyone in the room or the county for that matter. I guess, I'm a younger guy too, share the same passion for agriculture. I'm not against agriculture, I'm against this here. I didn't raise a big fuss last time because I don't want to hold anyone back. Variance was granted. In the minutes, it showed something, the minutes from last time, there's a Melissa Lehman, must have been from Miller Poultry. Says that 95% of the odor does not go past 400 foot. It's very clear it goes much past 400 foot. It can be like a fog at times. Anytime it's raining, anytime mornings, evenings, temperature inversions, it's bad. This is 90,000 birds. You want to go to 180,000 birds. It's bad. We're already from, let's see here, 1,320 foot, which is ordinance, down to 860, and it's an issue. Now you want to go to 493. It's not. This isn't just this is a big deal. It's a little over a football field. It's just, you can see it's on 30 acres. It used to all be, corn, beans, everything like everyone else. There's really not much farmland there anymore. It's an industrial operation in the middle of nowhere with a floodplain behind it, like was talked about. A few years ago, February 2018, which more than a few now, you couldn't even access this area by road for like 4 days. We've got bridges that need work. The county's come and finally put up. We finally got a nice road. But when these birds get hauled out, there's I want to say it's 30 to 35 semi-loads hauling these chickens out, and it's like a 42-day cycle or something. So you double the birds, 70 semis coming down this county road, crossing these county bridges, with a floodplain. And, any way you come from, it's Marshall County, there's ditches, there's little outdated bridges. That's without the feed trucks, the construction, the concrete trucks, all that. I see the Miller Poultry pickups more often than the mailman out there up and down the road, which is probably a good thing for the birds, but just traffic. And then this would put one more driveway on Grape Road in a 30 acre parcel. That doesn't make any sense. Why do we need 4 driveways? Because these trucks, they tear up the road every time they turn in and out. I grain farm, I run semis too. It's part of it, but nothing like this. He's running a trucking business with 3 trucks out of it as is also, so you got that. So the road issue on top of the smell, on top of the floodplain, and then you get to the flies. I've never had a fly before this damn barn. you can't eat a turkey sandwich in the kitchen without grabbing your fly swatter. Now we got cattle next door. I know cattle's not what we're talking about, but it's too much. So I'm obviously against it. Last time I talked about drainage, he was digging up a tile the other day because this is all a wet farm that needs drainage. That's all broke down from what it looks from the road. What else do I have here? So the county, this is the county zoning ordinance. Talks about the manure being worked in. It's not always worked in. It's easy to say that. A lot of times it gets spread at night, not worked in for days. You got the dust, you got the odor, you got the trucks. Shelter belts are a great idea, but is it really gonna do anything when you double the birds? It's gonna be a big deal. But I guess another huge holdback, you guys are probably more familiar with this than I am. But under M here on page 82, basically it says any new dwelling built within 1,320 foot, like let's say I build a house in front of my shop, which is my primary address right now. I do stay there often. I use it as an office, but I stay there. When I have friends from out of town, they stay there. I've talked about renting it out, but that is my primary address. I stay there. I file my taxes there. It's on my license. It's my address stated. My wife wants to build a home in front of it. I've got an awesome little grass piece of property I've kept for it. You look west, it's beautiful. I'm passionate about the place. But literally this M here, if I would build a house next to a CAFO, it states, any new dwelling other than quarters provided for hired help, or any business, school, yada, yada, shall have a separation distance of not less than 1,320 foot from a CFO or CAFO that has a state IDEM confined animal feeding approval. It goes on to say that I would have to go to a variance, do exactly what he's doing just to build a home. And then I would also have to have, that would be recorded on the deed of the home or of anything. So I would have to have a deed conveying that I'm okay with being next to this operation. I mean, that's not right. I got 7 parcels. I mean, the whole way around there. I mean, that just trashes the value of my property. You got the town moving there. You guys granted it once, or it was a different board, but it was granted once. It doesn't need to be granted twice. It doesn't need to be any closer. I just don't know why. I want to grow my farm too, but I want to do it without affecting others. And that's what I told Caleb when I called him and told him how I felt about this. And I had to go out of my way to do that. And I think that shows how neighborly things have been. So I felt like the last time I was okay with it. We'll try it once, whatever. The right steps were followed going into this, but they weren't followed this time. And this is way too close. And if you guys can pull up like an aerial, I mean, that 1,320 foot in any direction, I mean, it just, you want to talk about property values being hurt. You got to put a deed on any new dwelling or anything from 1,320 foot around these buildings.
Does he own to the north? These are set in east and west, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right front. Does he own the north side of the 2 buildings?
He bought 10 acres off a neighbor up there and put cattle right next to it. So there's
North side of the building,
yeah.
the 2 that are existing there. So if by chance he could move these 2 to the north side, would that?
I don't think he owns any more property further up there. I guess he could answer that, but.
Okay, I was just going to ask you while you're still sitting here, if, I don't know, I'm not familiar with what it is. I didn't know if he could move the buildings up there so they're not, the 2 more wouldn't be any closer to you. Would that be an issue?
I don't think they should be there.
Okay.
You can't just put the county under a roof in a floodplain and all these trucks on the roads out there and the bridges. It's not right.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else here to speak against?
I just
Go
have
ahead,
a question before he leaves. I know you said your address is there, you know, you get your business mail and all that stuff there. And you stay there, son, but you don't, do you live there or with
I
your
also have
wife
a-
or, because I'm looking here, I see a J.R. Stoller Farms at 5830 Gumwood.
5830, that is another property, just a grain site that I
Okay,
ran
but
out.
there is a house on this one, but you don't live there.
No, not the Gumwood property, no.
Okay, I just,
No. Yeah, that's totally different. So,
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else speak against? You would state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Jerome DeShepper, and I live at 6157 Fourth Road.
Where's that from here?
That is to the south.
Okay.
I just want to say that nothing against you personally, neighbor, but you know, where do you draw the line? You already have 2 chicken barns. You have a cattle barn. You want to put in 2 more. What's to stop them from buying more property and putting up more chicken barns? I don't have a real big problem with the smell as it is now, but you're going to double the barns and you're going to have to haul double the manure. So you're going to have to spread twice as much. Where I'm at, he spreads to the field behind me, and, you know, it will smell for a couple of days, but it's only bad for the first couple of day or 2. And once he gets it worked in, then usually the smell is gone. I know Joe, who was just up here, at one point, there's a tree line. I can't really see his property from my property. And I know the tree line, it kind of maybe mitigates some of the smell, but at some point, Joe's talked about taking that tree line out to farm there. So I worry about how that will affect the smell. He has other properties where he could put up these barns, I'm sure. I mean, but another worry of mine is, I know where you're at, you probably get the smell, I'm sure. You're going to put up 2 more barns. As it is, you're with us and putting up with the smell, but what happens if you decide to move? Then you don't have to deal with the smell like the rest of us, you know? So those are some of my concerns.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else speak against? Any correspondence?
Yes, sir. I have a few letters. So, starting off, to whom it may concern, I've received a letter concerning a request for a variance for 24 BZA 49 Koffel Caleb. I'm in favor of support and the progress of this young farmer and his family's growth. Sincerely, Jennifer L. Koffel. Second letter is from Miller Poultry Life Production Office. I'm currently making plans to build a broiler barn at my farm. In doing so, I would like to be sure that my close neighbors are not offended in any way with the new facility. By signing this document, you're stating that you have no objection to this project. Farm name, Caleb Koffel. Farm address, 3560 Grape Road, Bremen, Indiana, 46506. Property owner number 1 is Mike Leeper, 3359 Grape Road, Bremen, Indiana, 46506. And property owner number 2, Barb Burge, 3358 Grape Road, Bremen, Indiana, 46506. Next letter, Board of Zoning Appeals. I am not in favor of the Koffel CAFO request for a variance. There is already a chicken CAFO on the property and a cattle feedlot on adjoining property. I think another CAFO would negatively impact our local community. It would pollute air, water, and soil. The Yellow River is very close to this property. It will also lower nearly homes and property values. This is within 1.5 miles of Bremen. We do not need more bad smell, semis hauling chickens, and groundwater pollution. Marcia Roeder, property owner. Next letter is 24 BZA 49, Koffel Caleb. We object to the chicken barns as we already smell them some, and we'll get the smell a lot more if it's that much closer. Thanks, Marlon Miller, 5958 4th Road, Bremen, Indiana, 46506. And then next letter, to whom it may concern, I received a notice regarding petition 24 BZA 49 submitted by Caleb Koffel. I reside at 5413 3rd Road in Marshall County, Indiana. First, I have never experienced any odor or disruption to my property due to Mr. Koffel's current operation, and I appreciate whatever efforts he has made to keep his operations inoffensive to his neighbors. However, I'm concerned that this substantially increased the size of the operation may mean that my property could be affected. I understand that the request is to reduce the required setback by approximately 60% from the 1,320 feet down to 493 feet. If I understand the zoning ordinance correctly, it appears that the existing standard is greater than both the north, south, and east-west boundaries of Mr. Koffel's property. The ordinance seems to contemplate either a much larger or a more remote parcel for CAFOs than Mr. Koffel's parcel. I'm also concerned that the grant of this variance will impact the use of land around the operation rather than impairing the use of the applicant's own land. I feel that this unfairly shifts a burden to other landowners who are now less likely to develop their properties due to the proximity of the CAFO. I do not speak for the town of Bremen in regard to this petition, but for the past 18 months I have been working on new housing developments as part of the town of Bremen's grant application to the state's READY program. This application includes prospective developments south of Bremen's West Park, along the Yellow River and the remaining portion of the Shoemaker neighborhood, which is under 4,200 feet away, as well as a substantial housing development on 3rd Road across from my home, approximately 3,900 feet away. There's a parcel for sale on 3rd Road that is marketed for development and is approximately 1,625 feet away. My home and these developments are further away than the current setback requirements, but I believe it is a valid concern that this expanded CAFO will be less than a mile from the Bremen municipal limits. Again, granting a variance of this sort for this type of activity affects the use of other landowners nearby. And while there may be no development in the immediate area now, I believe that the future residential development for the town of Bremen will be moving both south and west. I don't expect development out to Grape Road in the near future, but the decisions that your body makes now certainly will shape how the development occurs, if at all. It is unfortunate this CAFO is located so close to Bremen's municipal boundaries, but your body should consider that proximity before granting this variance. Finally, I assume that this variance will lead to increased truck traffic on Grape Road, so I hope that Grape Road between Plymouth Goshen Trail and 4th Road will be better maintained in the future. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Anthony J. Wagner. Next letter. This letter is in Marshall County Board of Zoning Appeals, 112 West Jefferson Street, room 302, Plymouth, Indiana, 46563. This letter is in regards to 24 BZA 49 Koffel Caleb request for a variance of development standard. As neighbors to Mr. Koffel's existing confined animal feeding operation, 2 buildings, 60 by 600, and manure pit, we're against any additional CAFOs being constructed on his property. In regards to Mr. Koffel's current CAFO constructed several years ago on this property, we were never notified of any request for a variance of development standard or a public hearing. We only realized that this was happening when we saw the framing in place for the buildings. We are already concerned about the current pollution to the surrounding air and water supplies due to the manure and poultry or broiler litter being produced daily. We do not want to see this exposure of pollution double in size with the construction of 2 additional 60 by 600 buildings and manure pit. Mr. Koffel's current CAFO is extremely close to the Yellow River that runs throughout Marshall County. It is approximately 500 feet from the buildings to the river and 1,100 feet from the manure pit to the river. The additional buildings would also be close to the Yellow River as well. In addition, we feel this may negatively impact our property value due to others not wanting to live near a CAFO with the manure, odor, and quality of life issues. We respectfully ask the Marshall County Board of Zoning Appeals not issue this variance and keep in place the required 1,320-foot residential setback due to the environmental, health, and property value concerns we have for our surrounding community. Due to a prior engagement, we will not be able to attend this public hearing on Tuesday, December 10th, 2024, and request our written comments be entered into this hearing on our behalf. Sincerely, Alan and Bria Nunemaker.
What's their address?
5940 3rd Road.
How close are they?
2 miles, wouldn't it? $5,900 versus 35.
So it'd be there.
Were those all the letters?
I've got one more. She's gonna work on getting you the distance.
You can read the next letter. I just wanted to know where that house was at.
To the southeast.
And it's-
If you take the eastern
2
property
miles
line
away?
and go due south.
You said
Or,
it's-
no, sorry, that was Third Road. Third Road's north. It would be 5940, the intersection of the Yellow River and Third Road to the north. So if you take that eastern property line and head due north up to Third Road, you'll be just west
That
of
was
that
New
intersecting point. But getting into that last letter, in reply to 24 BZA 49, Koffel Caleb, we received a letter in regards to our neighbor Caleb Koffel and a request to expand his family businesses. He takes great pride in this property and farm. The farm is a family-run farm, and as we all know, it is getting more difficult for the small farmers to make a good go at it. The current animal barns are no bother to us or surrounding areas. There is no smell or noise that is occurring, or it's not occurring. Let's see. Not quite sure what that word is. Any issues? We're positive that with the new structures, there will be no problems. We're so happy to see a farmer and his family trying to make a stand in this rough and tough farming community, and maybe, just maybe, his small effort to grow will lead to others to do the same to help feed the world. Not to mention that it is great for Marshall County. Will be adding jobs to our county as well. We hope that you consider this letter as a help in your decision to help this small farming family grow and prosper. God bless. David and Michelle Jones, 5734 Third Road, Bremen, Indiana 46506. Those are all the letters I have on record.
So motion to close public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Have a second?
Second.
David, second.
Sorry.
David seconds the motion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Public hearing is now closed.
Is there room on the north side of the existing buildings to put these new ones?
No, there's not, because it's only 10 acres. And plus also my north property line is would be Bremen zoning. So then it would be a town matter, which with him being here, that being closer, I'm sure that would be shut down. But that is the only other property that I own, other than this 30 acres. So there's no other place to take them, to put them, so.
What's your current trucking route? Where do the semis come in off of?
We mostly just come north off of Plymouth Goshen Trail predominantly. Every once in a while, we do go south down to Fur Road to get to Fifth, to go to 331, because DOT says we should go straightest route to a major highway, which if we're going south, we go to 331 off of Fifth Road. But we only have 2 trucks. The third truck is a farm truck that runs off of there.
But I mean, when they pick up the birds.
Oh, the birds, they go straight north, sorry. I
Okay.
thought you were asking about my trucking company. But no, the birds, when they're picked up, they come from Plymouth Goshen Trail from the north. They come through town on 106 to Plymouth Goshen and straight
Go
down
straight south.
Grape to me. Every once in a while, feed trucks do come from the south, because I know there is another poultry farm on Filbert Road south of me. So every once in a while, if they're delivering a partial load, they come from the south. But also, like I stated, due to a CAFO, I have to ask for a road permit from Marshall County if this is approved to give us a route to travel for those trucks.
So are you full-time farming?
Yes, I am now.
So these birds and your beef and?
Birds, beef, and then we farm some row crop as well. Yes, so these barns are pretty much and have been since they started our primary source of income for my family, which is why we're so, emotional about them, I guess. My 9-year-old wanted to be here, but told her it was too close to bedtime. I'll tell you when I get home. Chores are so easy and these barns are so easy and compatible to get along with that my 9-year-old can handle the chores while I'm busy in the fields or taking care of other livestock. So they love these barns. And we have 3 kids already, and we found out 2 weeks ago we're expecting our 4th. So this wasn't planned, this growth for the new baby, but I just, take it as a plan.
You're not trying to get one kid per barn, are you?
Well, chore-wise, I'm not coming from a background of farming family. I do have a step-grandfather that grain farms. So farming is what I picked up from him, but it would be great to be able to leave them a barn apiece if farming is the route they'd like to give them a good start.
So if you buy a separate parcel, put these on a separate parcel, are you still a CAFO or would it be 2 CFOs?
It'd be 2 CFOs.
Would that be easier for you?
Well, depending on where the parcel would be, I guess, any adjacent parcel, since it would be adjacent, it would still be considered a KAFO. So even if I would move them to the parcel to the north, they're still adjacent and owned by the same person or entity, to where then it would still be a CAFO, which the CAFO really isn't the issue for, I guess, us, because we already implement pretty much everything that they are going to make us implement. I know a couple complained on the letters there about the groundwater contamination and stuff too. Also part of the CFO and the write-up I gave everybody that once a year I have to turn in a well test for groundwater to make sure, which I know they had a big packet I turned in for everybody to have, stating what all I have to do if this is approved.
Do you have to do that now?
For the wells, no.
So that would be part of the CAF?
No, correct. And the wells are already, by IDEM, have to be placed a minimum 100 feet away from any of the chicken houses that that are populated, so that they are actually up the driveway on that north boundary. And then also, but those wells are already big enough to support these 2 wells, so where there would not be any more wells being drilled, which then also, eliminates the possibility of opening more groundwater up. So it'd just be a trench across there for a 2-inch supply line.
So one of the comments I heard too is fly, and I've heard this before, flies. Is there any technology that they have to mitigate flies? It seems like flies is always an issue with these livestock or barns.
No, fly-wise, I guess not anything that I've seen in Miller's Poultry. I mean, that'd be something for Andy that's here, but I have not seen anything other than obviously the PT solution that's spread in there. That's also all the steps we do to eliminate any of the smell, which is to help also knock down the attraction of flies, which, I mean, anybody knows any type of litter or manure is an attraction, which I would be open as long as it's permitted by Miller's Poultry, I guess, or allowed. I would be open to implementing something, if possible, to eliminate fly control or to control flies as well.
When you came last time you were gonna put them somewhere else. Maybe it was your step-grandpa's place originally, wasn't it?
My grandfather requested, yes, but at the time, Miller Poultry wasn't too big enough, and we were too far away from their processing plant, where he wanted to place them.
Okay. So that's why you chose this here, right? To move it, to put this first one here?
Well, that was my grandpa that did that himself, but this is obviously myself, and I'm not affiliated with the family farm anymore. I'm by myself and started, this is everything I've created myself and built.
When you came here the first time, I was like, man, you got three houses, right? There's three that are within the 1320.
There's 2 dwelling houses and then his farm office.
And I thought, boy, that's pretty lucky that you're able to put these in there without the neighbors saying anything. And now
Right.
you're moving closer to a neighbor that agreed to it, but now he doesn't agree to it. And you're only 500 feet.
Correct.
I want to see you have this. I want to see my son wants to farm. You know, I want to see this. I would love to see this. I'm really, I would love to see the south neighbor approve it. The rest of them, I'm okay with everyone else. But man, that's awful close to his place.
Yes.
I don't know. I think he was very good to let you put the first 2 in. You know, I want farm stuff. That's why I'm on here, because you know I'm the one with a farm background, and I so want to see stuff like this. So,
right, and that's
and
that's why we went to the neighbors that are dwelling, and they signed off on them that lived there, and both of them stated that they would never know that was a chicken house if I didn't tell them.
I've drove around. I don't drive back your driveway because I don't have permission to be on your place. But every chicken house, every building that we've done, I go check them out. There are walkers, so we did 2 of them on Plymouth Goshen Trail. You got to drive back a driveway. I do drive back that driveway. I can't smell a darn thing. Anytime I've ever been there, I can't smell anything at all. So, and I've tried to go at different times when different weathers and stuff, but. Is there any other option that you could come up with, another place to put these 2 buildings? I mean, is there any property that's possibly to be purchased that would be close? I know it'd be great to have it in your backyard, have all 4 buildings where you can go together.
Right.
Do you own the chick? They own the chickens, right? You just
I own the
raise
buildings and pretty much rent them, do a 10-year contract to Miller's Poultry.
So is it an advantage to you? These are layers, right?
No, these are broilers.
These are broilers?
Yeah.
Okay. So the death rate, you probably get paid more money if you raise more birds, if you have less death, or does it really not matter?
Correct, yeah, we're paid, it's essentially rated off of how many birds, cents per bird that leave the farm, but also it's mostly based off of weight, of poundage. But the death loss, like I said, each barn, I don't think I covered that, each barn has roughly 40,000 birds. I've had less than that before as well, but 5%. They expect 40 placed and 38,000 to make it, which with everything that we've been raising and doing, I've been also about 50% of what their expectations are. So I've been losing only about 2,500.
So the barns, you own them?
Yes.
When they come up to you, you pay for the barns, that's yours, right?
Correct.
I mean, they don't put anything in for the barns, that's all on you.
Correct. They give me a list of what I have to do to meet their guidelines for their chickens, plus also for their GAP industry as well too, which of them are audited every year as well by GAP and Miller Poultry, to make sure that we are keeping records up to date, which is what this big binder is here from Melissa Lehman's office, just everything I have to keep record and track of how we handle everything. and submitted to state once a year as well, plus also IDEM comes out between 3 and 5 years after the first year's 2 visits of population.
So anybody else's thoughts on this? Being so close to
I mean,
neighbor and the neighbors?
I would love to see it. I'm the same way. I would love to see, I mean, it's zone agriculture. I want to see
Yes.
these types of operations out there. I'm struggling with being that close. It's not a full-time residence to the south, 500 feet. I drove past there, and it's definitely a shop slash house.
It's a blue building, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, yeah, I'm kind of torn on it too, but
I mean, if you could put them on the north side of the building,
he doesn't have room.
You don't have room over there.
Bremen,
Then you're being a Bremen zoning then
yeah,
too.
be closer to Bremen's residential area they're going to develop too. A lot closer, which
could you put one over there and one on the south?
It could be talked about, yes.
Fill that
But
retention
Miller
area in?
Poultry likes them in pairs, just because of how feed and birds are delivered and how they're taken out. It's just more accommodating to have pairs.
So do you have room to put one on the north then?
Oh, no, nothing on the north.
Nothing.
Because the first 2 are 50 foot off of the property line.
but on the next parcel to the north. Is that what you're asking, Jeff?
Yeah.
No, we wouldn't be able to meet the setbacks off of the property line. And also, I'd have to check the footage because I think it's the bunch ditch comes off of the Yellow River is there too, which is bordering that property to the north. So I think I'd have to double check the footage on that, but the setbacks for the manure and stuff like that probably wouldn't be allowed by IDEM. But like I said, and also IDEM, I've already had Zoom meetings with the main engineer of IDEM for any type of water issues, and everything that we have done and implemented it was approved by them for what we were doing.
So how much time did you have to put in a building? I mean,
I think if I remember correctly, I was side dressing my corn with 28 at the end of May or 1st of June when I received this call that Miller's asked me to.
No, I mean your daily chores in the
Oh,
building.
daily, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking about preparations to this day.
Daily
right
chores.
now.
What I'm asking is-
Chores, it's anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, morning and night. So roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours a day is all
You don't want to
for
check
those
them?
2 barns
You
that
don't
we
need-
have.
You don't need to check them during the day or at night or anything, just.
We check them minimum twice a day. We have to, that's one of the regulations as well from Miller's and GAP, that they're checked twice a day. So I usually do chores in the morning, and then my wife and my daughter or children usually do them in the afternoon once they're home from school.
So what I'm trying to, and I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
We gotta.
No, I understand.
What I'm saying is if you could find another parcel to put these on, it's not gonna, I don't think I'm gonna be able to put that closer to the guy's building. I think he was really cool to let you do the first 2, you know? If you knew that you were gonna put 2 more in there, maybe you should have said that to us. We could have asked him. I don't remember him being here last time, so I don't remember there being an issue. That's why we a lot of times ask for a business plan, so we know what you want to do in the future, you know?
Right.
And we could have said that, yeah, we'll put these 2 in. That guy could have said, I don't want them any closer. Then you would have known before you built the first 2 that you're not going to be able to put the second 2 in.
We didn't, I guess we never really planned of doing 2 more, especially when we were building the first 2.
He probably didn't plan on you doing 2 more closer to his house.
Correct. But once we got into it, and then Miller's always sends a survey out every year asking if you would be interested in building more as a grower. And after we got into it, that's kind of when it sparked their interest that might be a potential to where they would ask us to do that. And I obviously they did. And I gladly accept because they were a great company to be a part of.
I don't think he's willing to change his mind. I think he's pretty well set on. I think
Yeah,
that
I guess he says he
you've gone
lives-
from the 1320 to what is it now? The original building.
I think his was 876. I think is what the footage was. To 493 now from his. But I guess he stated that he lives there part-time
I
or
don't,
stays there.
it's
but-
still, it's his
Right.
property.
It's his
I think he
property.
did you a really big favor letting you put the two buildings in.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yep.
This is these guys may vote different, I don't know, I want to see you be able to have two more buildings and do them. That's getting awful close to his place, and the 1320 is a rule that we pretty much stick to, so, I don't know, that's what my feeling is. You guys.
Correct.
My comment is really not about this case, but look, I'm reading the documents and I want to ask Ty a question. What is the state standard for CAFOs? Do you know that I've been trying to find it, I can't find it. I know it's less, but I don't remember how much less. And I believe state standard says residents and structures, public structures.
I don't know the exact wording for state, but if I understand correctly, because the ordinance was written before I got here, that it was in response to an animal operation that was going in I believe it was East Central Marshall County. And when that operation was going in, there was a lot of consultation with what the state's numbers and information was associated with. But I don't know, in a percentage standpoint, how close our county ordinance is to what the state's requirements are or
Doesn't help us with
suggestions.
this case, but I think our members on the plan commission, I think if you would maybe look into that, maybe that's something we would want to change in our ordinance, because I think we're drastically different in the distance. And then our ordinance, I just read it, says residence.
Correct.
It doesn't say public structure or other property, it says residence. So I think there's some clarification in the future that we ought to look at, but again, that doesn't help us for here tonight.
Because we had a hog farm a couple months ago, and there was only one house within 1,320 feet, and that person agreed to do it, but it was still, ended up getting turned down here. But, I don't know. Somebody have an idea? Someone want to make a motion? I can't make a motion, I can't make a second, so. Would you be interested in pulling it or tabling it and seeing if there's possibility you could find a different spot to put it? That way, I mean, it really doesn't matter whether we approve it or don't. I mean, whether it's, because if we turn it down, you can't do it for a year, but it really doesn't matter. Unless this board changes, I don't know that, and I don't know what the vote's going to be anyway, but.
I mean, obviously, if it's turned down, obviously, we can't do it, and we wouldn't apply again.
Okay.
Because, like I said, the time and money that's already invested in it, to make sure it's already done properly is, obviously, I knew it was a risk of that money
You knew
being
it was a
wasted.
risk. There's no
so,
doubt in my mind you knew it was a
But
risk.
also doing the legwork and the research on all this prior to make sure it's correct, I think should show a big support, or should help support it for what we're doing. Like I said, and also being our livelihood, main source of income, so.
But the guy that were next to you, to the south, he's got rights too, so.
Correct.
So,
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
I don't know if you guys get along, don't get along, whatever, buddies or whatever, I don't know, but, if he would change his mind, I would be willing to do it, everything else I'm okay with, but.
Yes, understood.
So the question is, do you want to pull it? Do you want to table it? I mean, do you think you could, I don't know the guy, I just know when he's here. I'm going to say he's probably not going to do anything to change, but.
I guess what are the options of tabling it? Does that just mean to reconvene a later date?
Yeah. What's the difference between tabling and pulling it all together?
Tabling would usually come back at the next meeting, or if you were to table it for 2 months, you'd come back in 2 months. If you pull it, you would essentially come back through and reapply at a later date of your choosing.
The difficult part of this board is obviously, everyone here wants to see you succeed. We want
Yeah,
to see, we want to see businesses succeed and everything, but we can't do it at the expense of neighbors, and that's a difficult decision. Because
Correct.
obviously, you know your stuff. I mean, you're probably the most prepared chicken farmer I've seen in here. I mean, that stack you got in front of you is about the same stack we had from solar. So, I mean, you know your stuff. I just want you to know the difficulty of the board coming up with a motion, because we obviously want you to succeed.
But if we vote and we turn it down, you cannot do this project like this for 1 year. So you pull it or you table it, then you can reapply.
Yeah, I guess I'll pull it and reinstate it at a later date.
Okay.
Maybe as long as there's no.
You buy him a big Christmas present or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Be a conversation for another day.
Okay, well, if it don't work out.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. See you, man. Don't give up. If you find another place or something like that, don't be afraid to come back. And I think you're going to get a lot of support from this board to get it to put in, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Next case, last case, 24 BZA 50, Laverne Stump. You would have a seat, state your name and address for record.
Lavere Stump, 16424 Quince Road, Culver, Indiana.
Oh, Lavere, I'm sorry, I misread your name. Go. Okay, Ty, go ahead.
Okay. So we have a request for variance of development standard to allow a 81 foot 4-inch by 470 layer barn that does not meet the 1,320 foot residential setback located at Quince Road, Culver, on parcels 5021-12-000-009-000-013 and 5021-12-000-013-000-013 in Union Township, zoned A1. As you can see here, we've sketched out where the proposed barn would be in relationship to the Stump Properties and his existing residence that's under construction. And here is one of the provided documents showing the setback requirements with 1,000-foot plus setbacks to the properties to the north and to the south, and to the east there's a 662-foot setback between the proposals. And here's a little bit closer of the proposed setup and layout, and with setbacks to the property lines, which is the furthest extent of the property he owns in 3 parcels. Here's the view of the subject property as we pan around and pan into Mr. Stump's property at the intersection and pan back across.
Ty, whose house is that? Is that yours?
The log one?
Yeah.
That's my parents.
Okay.
We built that last year for them.
And then rest of the pictures here. So for the procedure for this is Board of Zoning Appeals reviews and makes a final decision on this case based upon the findings of fact as defined in state statute. For the analysis, the applicant is seeking to reduce the 1,320-foot setback to non-participating residences to 662 feet. There are also 5 residences shown within the distances shown in their supporting documentation. For the findings of fact, the public health, safety, and welfare, use and value, and strict application are taken into consideration. For finding number 1, the approval should not be injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare, provided that it is maintained and managed following industry best practices. For finding number 2, the use and value of the proposal may impact adjacent uses and value. For finding number 3, the strict application of the ordinance would not permit the proposal. And for a recommendation based on the information provided and reviewed by the Technical Review Committee, staff, and TRC would recommend approval of the proposal pending input by the neighbors. Now it is up for board determination.
Anything you'd like to add?
Well, I first of all came in, I just moved out there to my parents and bought the one side of the road, 41 acres is
On
on,
the west side of the road?
from the south side of the road or east side of the road, from my parents' place. My parents owned 170 acres.
On the west side of Quinn's?
both sides.
Okay,
And I bought the 41 acres on the east side of the property.
okay.
Anyhow, so we're building a house there, and I was trucking, and I'm looking to put up a chicken barn so I can stay home and for my income. And I originally thought just do a under the 30,000 bird mark, nobody would have a problem. But when I started visiting farms, I realized the money it cost, it's better to do a 50,000 for the finance purposes. The bank likes the 50,000. And I knew there was gonna be more paperwork, and I didn't know if I wanted to do it, but then I decided, let's go for it and try to do this 50,000 bird barn. Same size barn, the 50,000 barn's just taller, and they have like a 3-tier system in it. The birds can perch lower, middle's a nesting, and they can perch on the top as well. So that's where they get the 50,000, the same size barn. Plus the new, they call it the Avery system. And with that system, it's easier for the farmer because all the manure gets taken out with a belt out to the back and stored in the rear of the barn. So it makes it nice. You can spread manure when it's fit instead of having to do it when the birds go out. And you have to do that whenever the birds go out. It could be in the middle of the summer, it could be in the middle of the winter. It has to be done when it has to be done. So I thought it would be nicer to have a barn that was more user-friendly. And they don't do that style in the small barns because of the cost. So I was looking at the 50,000 bird, and like I said, finance-wise, money-wise to pay for it, costs millions of dollars to do it. It's a layer barn, so we're shipping out egg, one semi-load a week of eggs will go out. And then I'm not sure how many feed trucks would come in for that many birds, but yeah, I felt for Caleb a little bit. He raises meat birds, and people don't realize where their food comes from, but yeah, that's what we're trying to do. And so the property was already in 3 parcels when I got it, so we'd have to combine them, but I didn't want to do that unless I know I can move forward. I'm also working with Agronomic Solutions, and this was the first step she said I need to do. She'll take care of all the IADM paperwork and things. And they also, which when I visited the barns, I visited 2 east of here, and I know what broilers smell like. It's farming, but I understand people's concerns. But when I went to these layer barns, with the way the manure gets dried out through the barn with that belt system, it's basically dry till it gets to the end. I walked that whole barn, you didn't even smell like a chicken. Yeah, they're amazing, these new technology and these new layer barns. So they did send me an odor print. It doesn't reach, I think it's 200 feet is max around the building. I should have got this to Ty. I just got that this week from them. You didn't get that paper from Agronomic? It shows you the area that it can go the most. So there's a fence row 200 feet to the east side. Of course, we have a fence row to the back, to the south side of the property. And then there's trees across the road. So we have buffer. We'll be adding more trees as well if we do it.
Have you talked to the neighbors?
Well, the first thing they had me do was they sent papers. I mean, they had me take papers to get signed. All the neighbors to the south, all signed. The ones to the east, did you get signatures from them?
I've got a list of letters to go through.
Okay. The guy that takes care of the property of the woods, a doctor owns it, another guy takes care of it. He signed. The person right across the street, I never got to talk to him. I tried to talk to him a couple times. He never would return my calls.
That's up in the woods area?
Yeah, just to the north.
Okay. I've never been down in this area. I didn't even
Yeah,
know.
the person to the east of me would not sign, Dexter. But yeah, they bought a property with a chicken barn. You can see it on there. There's an old chicken barn vacant within, I don't know, 100 feet from their house.
Well, vacant one don't smell.
It don't smell.
No, I don't smell. They only smell if you put chickens in them.
So, yeah, I know Yeah, I've been, I mean, you don't have to go to see a layer barn to understand it, but yeah, it's, when you spread manure, of course it's gonna smell. So I guess I look at it this way, if I don't have a chicken barn for our 150 acres of alfalfa, we'll have to buy it, so we're still gonna spread manure, because I'm more organically minded, I don't like to buy commercial fertilizer, so I like to buy manure, and we did put calf manure on this fall, because the crops needed it. We got soil tests done, and they were way low, because we haven't put nothing on for a few years. But I asked the soil guy, I was like, if I put up a layer barn, does alfalfa need this layer manure? And he said, absolutely. Because you're pulling so much nutrient out of the soil every year, you need to feed it if you want it to continue to grow. So that's another reason. That's half the reason why I wanted to put a barn up, so I wouldn't have to buy manure.
So, let me ask you a question. So the west side of Quince Road, that's your dad's place, right?
Yes.
What's there? Is that
That's all alfalfa.
That's all alfalfa?
We put it all on alfalfa. And me and my dad worked together with that.
If you could come out with a way to put it there, would that meet your 1320s?
We'd have to go down behind the barns and across the ditch to get that far away. I guess
Is
it's a
that the
poss-
ditch to the far left?
Yes, that's a water ditch, goes through the middle of that side of, and we'd have to go to the other side. I don't know what their setbacks are from water ditches. I didn't look at that because I was hoping to put it on my property. We can move it.
Well, when we have the public hearing, we'll see how that goes. So I see a room full of people here, so I'm gonna guess that we're gonna get quite a few people come up and speak, so.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions?
I don't.
No? No? Do I have a motion to open public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made second, open public hearing. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried, public hearings now open. Anybody here to speak in favor of his request? Anybody here to speak against? Come on up. Hold on. One at a time. I'll have you do first. You guys can come together. Both of you state your name and address for the record.
My name is Terry Anderson. I'm 3000 East 101st Crown Point, Indiana. But I purchased land at the 16C Road Culver for 24 acres.
Can you kind of tell us which parcel is yours?
Where the parcel in red is, we're right across the street.
To the south?
No, across to the west.
The southwest field,
Yeah, we're,
24 acres.
where it has the parcel number?
I can give you the parcel number. It's 50-21-11
No, go left, yep.
dash 000
it's an awkward shape, it goes around the other neighbors.
You're on the west side of Quince Road.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
No, it's this one then.
It'd be south of the parents' parcel.
Okay, right there.
Yeah, we're directly south of
Okay.
the parcel.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Wait, let me tell me. I'm James Sewell. I'm her fiance. We've been together 20 years and I live at the same address she does.
20 years. Yeah. We don't rush our marriage. Okay.
There's a house on there?
No, I
Not
live
at
in
this
Crown
time.
Point, but that's where I'm going
This
at
was
this.
bought for
That's what I'm
retirement
getting-
property.
Okay, I purchased this land.
Good to see you.
I purchased this land in 2009, fall 2009, because it took me several years to find the perfect quiet property in which to build my dream home once I retired. I'm a teacher of 36 years, and I'm looking forward to retiring. And I was going to build on this property because I have horses, and I was planning this is where we were going to retire. Well, now, and I'm a farm girl. I grew up a farm girl. And I've had horses for over 50 years. Thus, living in a traditional farm community is a treasure. I would love that. I mean, I live on 10 acres now. We had farms all around us. Of course, they've sold out where I live in Crown Point. But, and so I'm really against this variance for this corporation, chicken operation, for many reasons. We all know this is about money, since poultry business remains one of the most lucrative farm businesses. My property value, I feel, would go down. Also, we talked about the gentleman that came earlier and talked about his going to build a house. Well, we're planning on building a house here too, and it's going to be very close to this situation here. Right now, I have somebody that farms it for me for the last several years. We all have already talked about all the health risks. I don't need to go through the gases, the dusts, the waste, the respiratory hazards and all that. I don't think I need to bring all that up again because I think everybody has already kind of looked into that. But that is a concern for me. Of course, the odor has been brought up numerous times, so I need to bring that. The traffic noise, I grew up in a farm community, and we could ride my horses down the road. Now I can't even get out of my driveway. I purchased property to be out in the country, once again, to enjoy the country life. And now you're talking about a business that I know is going to have lots of truck traffic going back and forth. And that was a really big issue for me when I just got this message about this variance wanted. And also the noise from the birds and the processing plant, they also said it was excessive. I've looked up on a lot of these things. The toxic dust, feathers, waste, emissions, all that kind of thing from poultry farms is a big concern. I'm not a big, I don't know how all farming, I know I've watched things about the inhumane treatment of animals. It sounds like that's not the case in this situation. I understand farm life, but I really don't want to build a home right near this situation. Since there is a variance, there's variances for a reason, and I don't think that we should, or as far as having boundaries is a reason, and I don't think this should go through. You are not worried, it doesn't seem like people are worried about us as people and an environment and the animals. It's only worried about money is what I'm seeing right now. And I would really like to express that I'm disappointed in this fact because I really took a long time to find this property.
Okay, did you want to say anything?
My thing was the same thing you brought up, that there was land in this trust that they could get away from all the distances. Our house would be north of the two that are on that side of the road. That's where we put the plot and did all the septic and all that when we bought it. Because it's the only part of the property that's high enough to build is right there where they put the other, they had parceled pieces off as for those other homes. So that's the best place on the property to put the home, would be even closer than those houses. The other ones, the small neighborhood across the street are even closer, and I feel sorry for them. I'm a farmer myself. I'm a hay farmer. I understand it, and I do want this stuff, but you have to respect your neighbors and go with the variances for reasons. And we are downgrade, the tropical, or the topography is down from him. I don't know if where the water runoff is, but we're at the highest spot, and it goes down to that creek that you saw going through behind.
Yeah, and I pay taxes on that creek.
So.
Okay, anything else?
Right. No.
Okay, thank you. We gotta get moving along.
Oh, I know. We heard all this on this one before.
Who wants to speak next? Come on up. If you would state your name and addresses for the record, please.
My name is Travis Dexter. My wife and I reside at 16705 16C Road there in Culver. We lived in our house for 28 years.
Just a second. Which house is yours?
We're the closest one.
It's 16705 on here.
Yeah, one's house to the east.
See the 16.
Oh, there it is, okay.
I'm the one that didn't sign, Dexter.
You did not?
I did not sign.
Okay.
And the gentleman north of me, he said he signed, he didn't sign. He doesn't even own that property. So I just want to make that clear. He got a signature that said
The person that takes care of the property.
he was a manager, and so he withdrew his signature. So.
Okay.
Let that carry. And I don't own that
He
chicken,
does?
I don't own that chicken barn, by the way.
Just talk to us.
Yeah, I don't
We'll
own the
talk-
chicken barn to the west of me that was mentioned, so.
It's empty, so it don't matter.
That's fine. So on August 16th, Mr. Stump came to our house requesting my signature to approve a 600-foot layer barn that would house 60,000 chickens inside the 1320-foot ordinance setback requirement. Tonight's BZA meeting, however, is requesting a variance for a 470-foot barn. This change in the proposal is concerning. It raises questions about future intentions beyond what is being presented here tonight. For example, will there be additional layer barns construction on or near this land in the future? Could there be requests later to extend the proposed 470 barn by another 130 feet to achieve that 600-foot that was originally presented to me? Let's be clear here. The variance request is not just about barn placement. It's requesting to bring an industrial commercial egg layer production facility closer to our home. That means bringing in insects, rats, flies, parasites, manure closer to where I live. Placing this operation just west of our house will expose my family to new airborne pathogens, such as dust carrying dry litter pneumonia, which can result in respiratory problems. Ohio Department of Agriculture Study found that property values within a quarter mile of a large chicken farm, 4,000 and larger, will decrease by 13%. For properties located between a quarter mile and a mile, the property values will decrease by 8%. This directly impacts the financial stability of my family and my neighbors. Bucklew Cemetery, CR 5051 on Quince Road, is a historical cemetery. According to IC 1421-126.5, no ground within 100 feet of a burial site may be distributed for excavation, construction, or structural alteration without an approved development plan. So my question is, with the high poultry manure content, leaching, water runoff potentially affecting this public historical cemetery, does this project qualify for a development approval plan? Let's be clear, this variance request is more than a barn placement. Tonight, you are deciding whether to approve this chicken operation closer to our house than the current ordinance allows. So you are being asked to approve a proposal that's changed from its original version, presenting unclear future intentions. This raises concerns about the long-term impact on our community. I respectfully ask the BZA to either deny or table tonight's vote until a clear understanding of the proposal as potential consequences can be reached. The current ordinance in place to protect me and my neighbors, I urge you to uphold that. And so that's all I have.
You have anything to say?
I do not.
You just with him?
Well, no, I'm Brad Gast. I'm the neighbor in the front.
He's closer than I am.
I'm the closest.
So you're the long strip right next to his parcels?
It'd be at the driveway, at the end of his driveway,
His driveway?
north
Oh, the
side.
guy that never called me.
You never called me.
Sir,
You don't need to talk to me.
I would highly recommend listening to me.
Thank you.
Don't talk to each other.
Yep.
Talk to us.
Yep.
What you ask, we'll ask him when it's all done, okay? We understand? Okay. So go ahead, sir.
I don't have anything. I just came up with Travis.
Okay.
I'm just supporting my neighbors.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Gass, is that long driveway that's 1,072 feet, is that your driveway?
No, sir.
You're closer,
I have the house that's right on the road.
Okay, because it's hard to see because the numbers
It
are.
is.
That is really
Yeah.
small.
So you're that little structure on, I got a black and white
Yeah.
copy. So you're the little structure right across from where he wants it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else speak against? Come on up.
Can I ask him a question real quick?
Go ahead.
So you said you had the neighbors directly south of where you want this, across the street from the couple that spoke earlier, Sewell's. You said you got approval from those people down there?
From the south of my property, there's,
It's where that red square is, those people down below the
Yeah.
red square, you got approval of those people?
Yeah.
So those, what is it, 3 people down there?
well, the one house is further away than 1320. The two main ones there are within,
One's 1198, one's 1090, and I can't see the other one you're referring to that's farther away, I'm sorry.
there is one out toward the road further. They don't have the dimensions. I guess it's over
Okay,
1320.
so you're saying those 3 houses down there said yes?
That one across the road is 1331. I did not get one from that. And
How about this one, didn't get one?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Let me get back on the podium. Ma'am, if you'd state your name and address. for the
Sure.
record,
My
please.
name is Julie Thornburg, and I live at 16473 16C Road in Culver. So I am west of this proposal.
Okay.
I think that the impact upon our community, which I have come to truly love, we've been there for 26 years now, stands to be substantial. There is an interesting organization called the Socially Responsible Agriculture Project, which has a publication you can access online called Industrial Poultry Operations, and I quote from the subtitle, which is "Bad for People, Bad for Communities, and Bad for the Environment." We are zoned indeed agricultural, but in the 26 years I've been there, it has been strictly crop farming. The most I see in the way of livestock will be 2 or 3 cows that someone's going to show at 4-H, and then they're gone. I think there are probably plans to expand. The intention is to expand this operation in the future. Mr. Stump showed up at my front door one day and introduced himself, and he said he was looking for the lady on the hill. And he's asked if I was related to Damien, and I assumed him to mean Damon Bush, which was the case. And he says, well, I'm looking to buy up more property. And I said, well, I cannot help you with that. But you're the lady on the hill. I said, yes, there's another hill with another lady, and I directed him to Vivian Bush, who holds in trust most of the land in that area. I do think it would have a negative impact upon property values. Again, quoting from SRAP, and I do quote, it says negative impacts are noted at distances exceeding 3 miles. People that live in this community want to enjoy the open vistas, the diverse wildlife that we have, and vegetation. They do not want to look at a chicken farm. And in discussions with my husband just before we left, he said, do you realize that we are exactly 1 mile from this proposed operation? He says, within that mile, there are 10 residences, within 1 mile. We get a lot of wind. We are on a hill. And it is not unusual for us to have wind gusts at 33 to 36 miles per hour. It is true that the prevailing winds come out of the west. That would blow straight to Mr. Dexter. I think that the proposed significant reduction in the setback that is required by the ordinance is quite unreasonable and seems to me to be unfair. This is clearly a commercial operation, and it was just confirmed that Agronomic Solutions is part of this plan. The smell is a concern for me, certainly with the winds, and I know through research that ammonia reaches higher levels in the colder months, so I'm not entirely sure how this odor mitigation will be achieved. I'm curious to know whether or not the presence of so many chickens would result in the increased presence of coyote. We do have coyote in the area. We hear them all the time at night, and I've seen them across my property during the day. And I know chickens to be a prime source of protein for them. I don't understand fully yet, for sure, how the waste will be processed. I understand it's to be a belt system. I assume then solid waste, which is then incorporated. How will the petitioner dispose of dead chickens? I certainly have concerns about pollutants reaching the water table, and I'd like to know what steps are planned to keep this from happening. I have serious concerns about additional road damage with all of the increased traffic. 16C and Quince are both in very poor state of repair right now, and it was just, 2-3 years ago that a lot of money was spent in completely repaving Pear Road, which will certainly see that activity. So I would have to concur with many of the other statements against that I have heard. It's a wonderful community. If you take a 3-mile radius out around, that would incorporate certainly Rutland, practically reach Hibbard. There are just so many people in this community that are there for the peace and the quiet.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? We'll get them in the back, and then you would have a seat. State your name and address for the record, please.
We are the neighbors to the south. My aunt and I both have property directly behind them. I am 16680 Quince Road, and that's Culver. I was working when he came to our door, but he spoke with my husband. We were under the assumption when we signed our paperwork, because we didn't do our research, we were just like, we don't really care what our neighbors do.
Small barn. That's what he said.
A few free-range chickens, but we didn't realize it was a few thousand free-range chickens, because we were like, we're not concerned about any chickens. And then we found out later that it was an actual chicken farm. We too have coyotes in our yard, and we have dogs. So our property butts right up against his. So we're wondering how that might affect our pets with the extra coyote. And I have an immune disorder, so the dander from the chickens is kind of a concern. The smell is definitely a concern. We have a pool. We have lots of company in the summertime. We don't want to not be able to use our outdoor space because it smells so bad, and we weren't even aware of the fly issue until someone else spoke earlier. So there's lots of other issues.
Okay. Anything else?
And I'm Connie Watwood, 16620 Quince Road. And I got to start out with, they are very good neighbors, but we first signed it, and listening to everybody else, we're against it.
Did you want to say anything, sir?
No, she said it all.
Okay. You're a smart man.
I know.
Smart, man.
Who else wanted to speak? You want to speak, sir? Come on up. And if you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Patrick Thorberg, 16473 16C Road, Culver, Indiana.
Where's that?
That is just to the west of Quince Road.
Not in his picture.
Correct. I apologize for the disjointed nature of my comments. I'm going to abbreviate them given the time and
That would
for
be
the sake of not being
wonderful.
repetitious. I'm by no means an expert nor authority in any of the relevant domains being discussed this evening. I'm not familiar enough with the mandate of the BZA to confidently say my concerns are relevant to the criteria that you gentlemen must consider when evaluating the variance application. My only standing in addressing you on this matter is that of a resident within 2 parcels of the proposed animal feeding operation who is invested in ensuring the continued health, comfort, and opportunities of my family and community. I'm here on behalf of my neighbors, as I am not within the setback, but just 2 parcels. I wanted to constrain my comments to those that are addressed, or rather the questions that are raised on the application request for variance of use. I defer to your judgment with regards to the comprehensive plan. Given your role in the BZA, you've undoubtedly had exhaustive occasions to review and interpret it, far beyond mine. Regarding practical difficulty and unnecessary hardship, it states the strict application of the terms of this ordinance will result in a practical difficulty in the use of the property. This situation shall not be self-imposed, nor be based on a perceived reduction of or restriction on economic gain. Parcel records indicate the applicant took possession of the property this year and has already submitted a request for a variance change. I cannot imagine within that timeline one could exhaust all productive uses of land such that a variance is needed to maintain economic viability. Far more likely to me, land was acquired with this use in mind, trusting the intended use would be granted or zoning unenforced. I do not see how such a situation is not self-imposed or how it could constitute an unnecessary hardship. Finally, one element that came up in my research that I had not yet heard mentioned is Indiana Code 3236-9. My understanding of the context of this code stems from this part of the code. The General Assembly finds that when non-agricultural land uses extend into agricultural areas, agricultural operations often become the subject of nuisance suits. As a result, agricultural operations are sometimes forced to cease operations, and many persons may be discouraged from making investments in farm improvements. The context in which this was implemented is to prevent residences from moving into already occupied farmland and claiming that the noise, the odors, what have you, are an offense. What we have here is the opposite, a farm operation moving into what is now a predominantly residential area. But regrettably, this code does not address that situation. And it further states that an agricultural or industrial operation or any of its appurtenances is not and does not become a nuisance, private or public, by any changed conditions in the vicinity of the locality after the agricultural or industrial operation, as the case may be, has been in operation continuously on the locality for more than 1 year if the following conditions exist. There is no significant change in the type of operation. A significant change in the type of agricultural operation does not include the following: the conversion from one type of agricultural operation to another type of agricultural operation, a change in the ownership or the size of the agricultural operation, the enrollment or reduction or cessation of participation of the agricultural operation in a government program, or the adoption of new technology by the agricultural operation. As I understand it, this is to say that the neighbors who may find themselves affected by this operation would have no standing on which to claim any nuisance as a result of this code, because it is in this case an operation moving into a residential area rather than the reverse, which is not accounted for in the code. And I would hate to see a variance denied when they might have no legal standing on which to lodge very sincere complaints.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else speak against? Come on up.
I don't have any.
If you would state your name and address, both of you.
I'm Norva Scheidler. We live at 16636 Quince Road.
Okay, and you, sir?
Brian Scheidler, I live at the same place she does.
You're allowed to live there, Brian.
Thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. We were really excited when we had 2 new neighbors coming in. The family is very nice. But when the chicken farm came up, that was something that I just can't handle it, the thought of it. The water contamination, that could be an issue. The smell, the rodents, all the extra things that come along with chicken farm. We've been there 20 years, and most of our neighbors have been there 25, 26, 27. And we're just now, we've got a really sweet community. Everybody gets along, and I just don't want a corporation, personally, of a chicken farm sitting in my yard. I have a pool also. I have grandkids. I have great-grandkids. I don't want anything to be dangerous to them. That's just my opinion. I don't have any, legal terms or anything.
Okay, so do you have anything you want to say?
Whatever.
Amen.
Whatever she said.
You should have a seat now, so. Anybody else here to speak against?
Hi, I'm Deborah Smith. I live at 15900 16th Road, Plymouth. I live in Rutland.
Oh, okay, it's not on here.
No, it's not. I just live to the east and west, or the east and north of his property. We were excited about him coming into the neighborhood, and his mom and dad, and they're nice. And I agree that he needs to make a living. But this chicken farm, for one, is he going to pile up all the waste, which would probably be at the back of his property, which would be right by my daughter's property? And she has multiple medical problems. My husband has COPD. Since I live west of them, we would be getting all that smell, all that dander from the feathers and stuff. I know I didn't get to vote, but at least I get to hear, have you hear my say.
Okay.
And I do not agree with it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Ty, do you have any correspondence?
Yes, sir. So, there's a couple that are coupled together in terms of initial letters and secondary letters to be able to explain. So you have the standard form letter that's in association with a lot of the animal production projects that come in. A couple of them, as a couple of the members that came up and spoke, have essentially rescinded their letters of support. So I'll read the first.
So the ones that rescinded, you're not going to read?
No, I'm reading them to you and giving you the context in which they've done. So I'll read the letter itself, and then I'll read the rescinding aspect. In relationship to 15858 16C Road, the current resident, that they own, rent the land in the house north of Lavier and Michelle Stump in Union Township, Section 12. I'm aware of the proposed livestock production facility, a layer barn being built by Lavier and Michelle Stump to the south of my property, and I recognize and understand that this project and respect that they will be granted the necessary residential setback variance needed to continue with this project. I'm signing this letter to agree to the building less than 1,320 feet distance from my residence. And that was signed by Mr. Vogel. Vogel. He followed up with a letter and provided that to Lori in our office. I said, I recently signed an application to have a variance of the zoning for a chicken facility on 16C Road in Marshall County. I'm the manager of that property only. The landowner is Brian Whipperman and is not in favor of the proposed chicken facility and asked me to remove my name from it. Sorry for any confusion in this matter. Sincerely, Jeffrey Vogel. The next one was for Crystal and Garvis Compton. Same form letter. Signed and dated, and then after reconsideration, we have changed our mind, and we were unaware it was going to be a chicken farm. The next letter, same form letter, again rescinded by Stewart and Connie Watwood. After reconsidering the situation, we are not okay with this. Connie Watwood and their associated form letter and the Compton form letter that went along with the second letter. Then I have a letter from our county building commissioner. The purpose of this letter is to bring to light a couple of situations that I found myself in with Mr. LaVere Stump. As the building commissioner, I am tasked with approving building permits and inspecting all aspects of the construction process here in Marshall County. It has been a difficult process working with Mr. Stump. On May 10th, 2024, I was forced to issue a stop work order to Mr. Stump during the construction of his home at 16424 Quince Road, Culver, Indiana. It was brought to my attention that the construction of a home was taking place and the potential that no building permit has been issued. Upon investigation, a building permit, in fact, had never been issued. The footings and precast concrete basement walls were already standing when I arrived to investigate the report. Mr. Stump's improvement location permit was still in the hands of the Marshall County Health Department for review of the septic system. It states very clearly on the top of the improvement location permit that construction cannot start without a building permit. On December 3rd, 2024, I was forced to again issue a stop work order to Mr. Stump while out doing inspections. I passed Mr. Stump's property at 16424 Quince Road, Culver, Indiana. To my surprise, Mr. Stump has started what appeared to be a garage addition to the home. Since I approved permits, I knew that this, just like the home, did not have a building permit. I contacted Mr. Stump the same day about the project. Mr. Stump believes that he is not required to have a building permit and inspections because he is the homeowner and completing the work himself. This is debatable, and I'm working on the legality of this. Regardless of me doing inspections and obtaining a building permit, the structure requires an improvement location permit to make sure it complies with local zoning ordinances and is recorded as a structure on the property. Mr. Stump repeatedly told me to get off his property while I was trying to obtain measurements of the structure and take pictures. Marshall County Ordinance 2003-03, Article 3 outlines the authority I have to be on the property. I tried to explain this to Mr. Stump at the time. I accepted the position as building commissioner on January 8th of this year. Since that time, I've been forced to issue 3 stop work orders. 2 of them have been to Mr. Stump. I say forced because it is not something I have ever intended to do in these situations. I believe in working with people to resolve issues such as these and keep construction moving forward. These situations are not uncommon. Placing a stop work order on projects is uncommon. I believe it to be beneficial to share these issues and concerns with the board as you plan to make decisions on any and all of Mr. Stump's future projects. And that is all the letters I have for you.
Motion to close.
Make a motion. to approve
Mr.
public hearing.
Gustafson, real quick. Mr. Gast, are you still here? Sorry. Lost you in the sea of people. You sent me a letter. Do you want me to read that letter into record from email as well, or are you good? You're okay? Okay.
Okay.
That's everything I have.
Motion to close.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion made second, close public hearing. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, real simple. You gotta be 1,320 feet from the nearest residence, or they gotta sign off. None of them are gonna sign off. You're not within it. You want us to vote on it?
Well, no, like I said, the only reason I was gonna go to a 50,000 bird barn is to make it more feasible.
Okay.
But see, I guess I was hoping people would understand, I can build a 29,900 without their permission.
Okay.
In the same spot, same size building, and I thought, okay, if they know a building's going up, can I just get a variance for a few more birds? Well, a few more, 20,000 more birds. That's why, that's the only reason I came here to do
Okay.
this.
It's pretty obvious that's not gonna work, so.
Yeah, I'm shocked by everybody that, they never told me.
And I would highly advise you
Wow.
that, to not go ahead and build it without a permit. That would probably not be very good.
No,
I heard
that's
Rich-
why I'm here.
Well, they just read the letter from our building inspector, that said you built a house.
Well, that building, or the building inspector, if I may tell you the story,
I don't wanna hear it.
because it's been quite a
Did you get a
ride.
permit to build the house?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did.
But we're not, I wanna go home.
Okay.
We're done here. Do you wanna make a motion? Do you want us to make a motion? You want us to vote on it?
Because
I guess it
if
don't
we
matter to
turn,
me.
if we vote no, then you can't come back for a year.
To build the CAFO, to get the CAFO?
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to do it again.
All right.
I've just met.
So do you wanna withdraw it, or do you want us to vote on it, or how do you want us to do it?
I guess just withdraw it.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Any other business, Ty?
Yes, you have one other item of business for you, and that's the 2025 meeting schedule. You have each been given a copy of it, and you can see it here on the screens. In relationship to your standard meeting being the second Tuesday of every month, meetings continue to be at 7 p.m., submission deadline being the month prior. The only changes would be in July and November to best align with usually holidays. And then July, you get into some fair aspects within the agricultural industry.
Just
So
to
it
vote
creates
to approve this schedule?
You do need to vote to approve the schedule. Any
voice
comments,
vote or
questions,
just a yea or
concerns? Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns with the schedule proposed to you?
I mean, it's pretty consistent with previous
Yeah.
years, right?
The only thing is July, it will get moved back, so
I move we
I don't want
approve
it.
this schedule.
I'll second it.
Motion made
I'm
and,
sorry.
no, you're fine. Motion made and seconded to approve the schedule. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried to cover.
That's everything I have this evening for you.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We're adjourned.